Okay, these are the tasks we did today. So let's talk about what we did. Okay, write down the formula of the amount uh, of oil left after T minutes. So we know our initial value. We've got 160 liters, and our slope, it's going to be negative, right? So we can do 160 minus 0. No. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Let's pick another point. Here we've got a point right there. That point is 4, 4 comma 140. This point right here is 0 comma 160. So slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 140 minus 160 divided by 4 minus 0, which gives me negative 20 over 4, which gives me negative 5. Okay, so we're trying to write a formula, and so we can say we've got y equals mx plus b. B is my initial value of 160, and my slope, my change, is negative 5. So we have y equals negative 5x plus 160. And that is my formula for question A. B, how much oil is left after 15 minutes? So I'm going to take my equation, and I'm going to plug in 15. Okay. You could write this as f of 15 if I wanted to write it in function notation. And so we get negative 5 times 15 is negative 75 plus 160. So we know that after 15 minutes, we've got 85 liters of oil left in my tank, in my barrel. Okay, C, question I. How long will it take before there's only 50 meters left? So I'm going to say 50 equals negative 5x plus 160. Subtract 160 on both sides. And then we get negative 110 equals negative 5x. And so now we divide both sides by negative 5. And we get x equals 22 minutes. Okay, CII. When is the barrel empty? Okay, so they're saying how long is it going to take for all of the oil to empty out? So this is when it's empty. Okay, so now we've got subtract 160 on both sides, and then we can divide both sides by negative 5, and then we get x equals 32 minutes. Okay, task 2. F of g of x, or g of f of x, sorry. G of f of x. Okay, g of... Okay, so I'm going to replace this with 3x plus 1. And now I'm going to replace this denominator That was easy. Okay, question B says, when is this answer going to be equal to -4? So I'm going to say 2 over 3x plus 1 equals -4. Okay, so what I would do is I would put this over 1, and then we can cross multiply. So -4 times 3x plus 1 equals 2. Okay, the next thing I would do is distributive property with a -4, and we get -12x minus 4 equals 2. We're solving for x, right? Let's add 4 on both sides, and then I get -12x equals 6. Almost done. Last step, divide by -12, and we get x equals -1/2. Okay, task 3. Hit pause if you need to, or rewind if you need to come back with what we've done. Okay, this is really important. Okay, so we're trying to find the inverse function. So if my original equation is y equals 4x plus 2. Okay, so the first thing we do is switch the x with the y and the y with the x. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this and make it x, and I'm going to change this and make it y. Okay, so I have x equals 4y plus 2. I've changed the y and turned it into x, and changed the x and turned it into y. And now I'm going to solve for our new y value. So I'm going to subtract 2 on both sides, and then I end up with x minus 2 equals 4y, because I made that go away. And now we're solving for y, so to solve for y, I need to divide both sides by 4. And so now I got x minus 2 over 4 equals y. So my inverse function is equal to x minus 2 over 4. Okay, so let's do the next one. We have y equals 3 minus 5x over 4. So I'm going to switch this guy and this guy. And so now I've got x equals 3 minus 5y over 4. I turned the y into an x and x into a y, and so we're going to solve for y. So I multiply 4 on both sides. 4x equals 3 minus 5y. Subtract 3 on both sides. 4x minus 3 equals negative 5y. And then I can divide both sides by 5. And then I have 4x minus 3 over negative 5 equals y. So my inverse function is 4x minus 3 over negative 5. So as I said before, if I went too fast, hit rewind, go back, and listen to it again. Okay, so here we have y equals the square root of x plus 7. As I said before, we're going to turn this into an x and turn that into a y. And so now I have x equals the square root of y plus 7. So in order to solve for y, what I recommend is we're going to square both sides. So if I'm going to square both sides, square, that's going to get rid of our square root here. And so now I have x squared equals y plus 7. And then the last step is we're going to subtract 7 on both sides. And then I have x squared minus 7 equals y. And so now I can say my inverse function is x squared minus 7. Okay, that's how you do inverse functions. Okay, Task 4. On the same axis, graph these things. Okay. So on your whiteboards in class, I gave you a grid. So this function here is y equals 2x minus 7, right? So what am I doing? X and y. Okay, so if x is equal to 0, I have y equals 2 times 0 minus 7, so y is going to be negative 7. If x is equal to 1, I'm going to have 2 times 1, which is 2, and 2 minus 7, which is negative 5. If x equals 3, if x equals 2, I have y equals 2 times 2, which is 4, and 4 minus 7 is negative 3. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. I'm going to plot this point, 0, negative 7. Okay, next one is going to be 1, negative 5. The next one is 2, negative 3. Okay. And let's that's this line here. Okay. I'm going to draw the line y equals f of x. Basically, it's a symmetrical line going this way. It'll be easier to do it on your grid paper that you were given in class. The inverse function, I'll do it in red. So, basically, my x and y values switch. So instead of 0, negative 7, I have negative 7, 0. Instead of 1, negative 5, I have negative 5, 1. Instead of 2, negative 3, I have negative 3, 2. So let's plot those points. Negative 7, 0 is right there. Negative 5, 1 is right there. Negative 3, 2 is right there. I can plot those points. And if I look at my graph, you can see it looks symmetrical with the orange line. I could draw this further, and you could see it even more. They should meet at the same spot. Okay. Question B. Find the inverse function. Okay, so we know that my original function is y equals 2x minus 7, right? So we're going to switch the y, we're going to turn that into x, and we're going to switch that x and turn that into y. And so now I've got x equals 2 times y minus 7. So add 7 on both sides, so x minus 7 equals 2y, and then divide both sides by 2, and I get y equals x minus 7 divided by 2. And we can see our inverse function is equal to x minus 7 divided by 2. Okay, question C. Show that f is equal to, we're going to show that this is equal to x. Okay, so my inverse function, I'm going to replace this here with x minus 7 over 2. Okay? And now I'm going to replace that. My original function is 2x minus 7. Think of that as f of happy face equals 2 happy face minus 7, right? So this is going to be equal to 2 happy face minus 7, right? 2 happy face minus 7. 2, okay, not happy face. It's going to be 2 red blop minus 7, right? And then, so this simplifies. Hopefully you can see what's happening. The 2's cancel out. Of x minus 7. X. I made a mistake here, didn't I? Originally here, this is adding 7 on both sides. Oops. The reason I know I made a mistake is because your final answer is supposed to be x. Whenever you do a function of an inverse function, the answer will always be x. And here is it if you do it the other way. You also get x. Okay, question 5, and then we're done. Okay. So, if I want to sketch the inverse function, I need to plot negative 2 comma 12. So negative 12 comma 2 is the inverse of that. And then instead of 1 comma negative 3, I'm going to do negative 3 comma 1. Okay, this scale is totally not useful. But anyways, it should have the same sort of look here, and this is 0 comma 0. Negative 3 comma 1. Negative 12 comma 2. So we switch the x and the y values here. Okay, notice how this is negative 5, negative 10, negative 15. The scale is totally off. I'm so sorry. Okay, so there's a sketch. B, state the range of this. So, so for my function, the original function, the black one there, my domain is the x values. It goes from 0 to 2. Okay, and the range of my original function is from negative 12 to 0. Right? Goes from negative 12 up to 0. So, so my inverse function, the range is equal to the domain of the original function. So the range is going to be from 0. Okay. So remember that if my domain on the original function is this, then that's going to be my range of the inverse function. Okay. Question C. I solve for f of x equals negative 10. So f of x is negative, oh, I can't see what I'm doing. F of x is negative 3x squared, and we want that equal to negative 10. Okay, so we divide both sides by -3. And then I take the square root, and x equals the square root of 10/3, plus or minus. Okay, and then CII. Okay, so I'm going to take my inverse function, and so just think about this is the value of x for f of x. Okay. Instead of this being x, this is the x when we're doing with the inverse function. So my original function, f of x equals -3x squared. If I'm dealing my inverse function, I'm going to make this the value of x for the inverse function. So we've got -3 times 1 squared, and that's equal to -3. This is a little tricky, this one here. You might need to think about that one just a little bit more, and that is it.